Now we're going to go through the types of bills there are. These are important to know because you could get a question based on types of bills in your Unit 1 exam. So we're going to start with the hardest ones and then move to the easiest ones. The hardest one are private members' bills because there's quite a bit to remember. Basically, as well as bills being introduced into Parliament by the government, private MPs can also introduce a bill, i.e. a private members' bill. These members are not government ministers and they can be from any political party. They are also known as backbenchers, and the reason why is because they don't sit at the front of the House of Commons. And there's two ways that they can introduce a private members' bill. These are through the ballot or through the 10-minute rule. We'll start off with the ballot. The parliamentary process allows for a ballot each parliamentary session, and 20 MPs are selected to introduce their bill. The problem is that the time for debate on these is limited to Fridays, and so realistically only the first 6 or 7 MPs that are selected have a chance of introducing their bill. And the 10-minute rule is where any MP can make a speech of up to 10 minutes supporting the introduction of new legislation. It is very rare that this is successful, but some acts have been passed this way. An example would be the Bail Amendment Act 1993, which gave the prosecution the right to appeal against the granting of bail to a defendant. Also, members of the Supreme Court can also introduce private members' bills. But very few private members' bills do become law. But some important laws have been passed this way. For example, the Abortion Act 1967 came about as a result of a private members' bill, and that legalized abortion in this country. That's a very important law to this country. So that's definitely an example you could use, private members' bills. Now we move on to hybrid bills. We'll move on to public bills. Otherwise you wouldn't understand hybrid bills. Now, most bills introduced into Parliament involve public policy matters, which will affect the whole country or a large portion of the country. And these are known as public bills. And most government bills are in this category. An example is the Tribunals and the Constitutional Reform Act 2005, the Courts and Enforcement Act 2007, and the Legal Services Act 2007. All of those started as public bills. You would want to use one or more of those as an example if you're talking about public bills. Also, you've got private bills, which are very few. There are very few private bills. There's a small number of them, but in comparison to the other bills anyway. But these only affect individuals or certain companies or corporations. They do not affect the whole community, and thus, as a result, are known as private bills. And an example is the Whitehaven Harbour Bill, which led to the Whitehaven Harbour Act 2007, which transferred all rights in respect of the harbour from 3 separate companies to the Whitehaven Harbour Commissioners. And then you've got hybrid bills. Hybrid, basically, I think hybrid means mix or something of that nature, something like that. So that kind of gives you a clue as to what hybrid bills are. They are basically a cross between public bills and private bills. They are introduced by the government, but the difference is if they do become law, they will only affect a particular individual, company, corporation, organization, or area. An example is the Crossrail Act 2008, which was introduced into Parliament as a hybrid bill, and it permits the construction of underground rail links in London and will only affect people who are in that area, and that's why it's a hybrid bill. And those are the types of bills.